Welcome to the Ultimate Founder podcast. On today's podcast, we've got Luke O'Nine, who is club captain of Sunderland FC and also co-founder of the Inner Game Academy. On today's podcast, we talk about what it's like being in a high-performance environment, leadership, and what leadership is like in business and in football, and then how he has gone from adversity to performing in the Premier League. Luke, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Great having you on the podcast.
I've had big shoes to fill because I know Kieran's been on here as well. So
There's a few people that have been on here. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know I came in last minute and was a bit late in asking you, but I'm really grateful for your time. We're actually up here in Sunderland, right? Who you are play for and have been playing for how many years now?
I think this is my 8th season. So yeah, podcast on home turf makes me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. Well, welcome and thanks to the team here. Where I'd like to start is for anyone that's listening to this podcast that doesn't know you, like a bit of your backstory, the journey of Luke O'Nine from playing football through to where you are now. It'd be really good to give everyone a bit of an insight into your journey.
Oh, where do we want to start? So I was just like every other kid, like how my kids are at the minute, just out in the garden playing. And I think naturally through having an older brother and older sister, we just out in the street all the time playing football. And I think you naturally accumulate just hours of practice unconsciously. And I think you then kind of develop a skill without really thinking about it. And that for me was the start of my football journey. When I was 4, I had my brother who was 6, my neighbours, I can remember the names, Chris and Glenn, they were 8 and 12. So we used to knock on each other's doors and just play 2v2s, 1v1s and everything. So that was kind of the start of the football and the connection. And then, so that kind of got the love of it, and then played for my local team, Hemel Hempstead, which I think
Yeah, very well.
quite familiar.
Yeah.
My dad was the coach, and I was there for a couple of years. I played up an age group. Then I was playing a little bit with my brother. So I think that kind of helped because you're naturally playing against faster, stronger boys. And when you're young, you don't really think about it, do you? So then my brother went into the Watford Academy. Then I went and trained with him while he was in the academy. So that was kind of my introduction to the academy, playing with boys, again, 2 years older. And then when my age group came around, I was the first one to sign for Watford at under 9s.
Wow.
So that was the start of it. And then went from under 9s all the way through to professional. Did a 2-year pro. First manager was Gianfranco Zola. And then got released at the end of that. So that then led me to Wickham. I went there on trial because I got released at the end of the season and I had nothing.
Right.
I knocked on the doors, anyone would open it, and there was I had no opportunity. So my dad actually spent the whole of that summer. He wrote to every EFL club, just asking for an opportunity. Just went online, tried to find email addresses saying, "Here's my son. Here's his CV." And there's only one team that kind of came back, and that was Wickham. And the reason for that was a couple of reasons. Was when I was at Watford, I went on loan to Wildstone in the Conference South and the Ryman Prem.
Right.
Did a couple of seasons there, and the Wildstone manager kind of put in a good word. I think one coach at Watford put in a good word to the Wickham manager, and I think they had a couple of good reviews and just went, we'll give them a look. So ended up at Wickham. My first day was the bleep test,
Right.
and I trained the whole of the off season. So my dad was like, "Okay, we're not sure where it's going to be, but we've got a summer to train for a trial. You're going to get a trial somewhere. You just got to make sure you're ready for it." And my first day was the bleep test, and I couldn't have kind of asked for a better start because I just ran.
Really?
I was probably the fittest I've ever been, and I just ran and ran and ran. And then Wickham said they wanted to sign me after the first day. Did 3 years there, and then ended up here in the Northeast 3 years later, 2018.
Wow.
Been here ever since. So that's the quick summary.
Yeah.
And any questions you want to dive into that? But
I know when we first spoke, obviously Sunderland was in the Championship at that time, I think it was. And then obviously there was the infamous, documentary that you was in as well through that period. But I always remember about one of our first conversations and even speaking to people that that there was this inner determination, I think, to play in the Premier League. Where does your determination come from?
think my mum,
Yeah.
yeah, my mum was a netball player,
Okay.
and she's only like 5 foot, 5 foot and a bit, but she was a goalkeeper.
Right.
So up against, so she was tenacious, and yeah, so I think it came. There's I'm a massive mix of my mum and dad. So my dad was an ex-professional golfer, and in his words, an ex-failed professional golfer. He quit at 20, I think he said 25 or 26. So my dad understood that. He said, he always said the same thing to me and my brother and my sisters: whatever you want in life, if you work as hard as you can, it doesn't guarantee success, but it will guarantee the best chance of success. So that was always the messages that he kind of seeded into us, was whatever you're doing. And I'm telling you now, board games in the '09 household was the most competitive board games ever, full of cheats as well. So I don't recommend it on Christmas time.
Yeah.
But it was whatever we did, it was, we weren't half in, half out. We were just all in and everything. Any sport, any new sport, football, our schoolwork, our education. It was, we work as hard as we can, because that's the way that my dad raised us and my mum raised us. And it's the same thing I do for my kids. You work as hard as you can. You listen to the people and the coaches, and you might not get the best grades. You might not get the best outcomes, but you do that formula, it's going to guarantee your best chance of success. No guarantees, but it will guarantee the best chances. And yeah, that was it for me.
Did you believe it would really happen, that chance to play in the Premier League?
So yes and no. I still think it's surreal now,
Right.
because it's you set goals. You have to have goals that at times seem beyond reach,
Yeah.
because that's kind of like the direction you're heading in. You always got to have a direction, and it has to be a goal that has to be. You look at it, it's like, well, that's far away. I think everyone has to do that in any domain, and I had that in football, and for a very long time, the Premier League was very far away. But I look at the summers where, I wasn't at a club or things weren't going my way. My dad and I would go over the local park, and everything he says is, we're going to do it to Premier League standards. So the touches, the ball strikes, we'd research what Premier League players would be doing. So my dad would be like, oh, I saw someone doing hill sprints or sledge sprints or whatever it was. That was the top of the goal. That's what we were aiming for. And everything we did aligned with that. So that's what we did. It didn't mean it was going to come, but if you're not training or looking to see what the top people are doing, I can guarantee you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
And if you are looking at what they're doing, you're implementing them, them skill sets, them training techniques, you're putting the odds more in your favor. And listen, goals are out there, and had we lost at Wembley, I might not have achieved the Premier League goal, but the processes are still the same. It's okay, well, this is what I need to do to get there. This is how I'm going to bridge the gap. And I'm going to carry on doing that every single day. And you keep training at that level, it's going to bring you to a lot higher level than if you set your bar a lot lower. So yeah, at times, did I believe it? No, of course not. It seems a million miles away when I was playing non-league, and you get released and there's lack of confidences along the way. But you look at it and you go, okay, I'm still going to try.
Yeah.
And then you get there, and it's a funny one when you get there, because it's like, that's always been so far away, and then you're there. That was a bizarre one.
And is it different to what you expected, the journey now, where you're at?
Is it different? When I arrived there?
Yeah. So now you've achieved what you've done. Is the feeling different now you've achieved it?
So the feeling is, I don't think I could ever really. I wouldn't have known this till I got here, but the feeling's very similar to playing on league. Like, you don't arrive at the Premier League and go, now I'm happy, now I'm fulfilled, now I'm. It's like, if you're not happy and fulfilled playing non-league, don't get me wrong, you want to strive for more, but if you're not happy playing non-league, you don't just arrive at the Premier League and go, I'm happy now.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It's like, no, you got to be happy here, and here and here. When you get here, there's not a lot of difference. There's 11v11. It's there's stadiums. Of course, the standard and the history, that's big. But in terms of the actual feeling, it's, for me personally, and I can't speak for everyone else, it's the way my brain works, it's a very similar process. It's the same process as I've used in non-league that have got me here. They're just upgraded.
It's funny how you describe that. I never thought I would hear your description and link it to business, but it is very similar in business. When you start out to when you scale up until you get there, it's just the same thing, but on a bigger scale. I think the challenge is where in business sometimes is you get kind of destination happiness addiction. Is I'll only be happy when I achieve that, right? And it seems that your mindset has been that's a goal, but I've got to achieve this bit first and be happy here. If that never happens, I'll still be happy here. Your measure of success isn't there. Your measure of success is just where you are.
Yeah, I think I had a really early taste of that when. So I'll be fortunate here that I've played at Wembley 5 times, and the first time when we lost twice in my first year here, and like Wembley was, it was like it was one of the pinnacles because if you're from down south, you get on a train into London and you're looking at it. It's in the distance, and
Yeah.
you turn on ITV and England are playing there, and you see the arch all the time, and it's like you
Yeah.
dream of that. So when we got to play at Wembley, I was like, whoa. And then we lost twice, and a part of me was like, I need to win at Wembley because if I win at Wembley, I can carry that for the rest of my life. I won at Wembley, and then I won at Wembley in I think it was the playoffs, and was on a massive high. It felt kind of untouchable for Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday came, and I was just like,
Right.
oh, that was fun, but it's done.
Yeah.
And I think I had that nice realization where I was just like, it's really good to set your goals and achieve it, but it's not an everlasting feeling. And I don't have my my medals out around the house or anything like that because I'm very conscious of that stuff's amazing. It's done though. I'm now going to here,
Mm.
and that stuff is done. I don't want to look at that and go, yeah, I don't want to settle.
Yeah.
It's like that was amazing. If it's the off season or it's a day off, I might sit there and reflect on that for a split second. But I'm also that stuff's done. That version of me that played in them games is no longer.
Mm.
I've upgraded now to a whole different system. And where I am now and where I'm going to be in 6 months' time, it's like it's going to be completely different again. I don't want to attach really to them moments because it's done. And I think I learned that very, very quickly. And I'm not saying, don't set yourself goals and be scared of achieving them. Achieving them is amazing. But it's like the fun part of all of this was the processes,
The journey.
Yeah, like the detail and the intricacies and the blueprint, like building all that to get to here.
Yeah.
That's the proud part. So, for example, this season, I didn't play for the large part of the start of the season, and then I got an opportunity at Everton in the FA Cup. Played well, scored the winning penalty, and I've got the ball at home. But when I look at the ball, I don't see the ball as me scoring the winning penalty against Jordan Pickford. I never see that. I've never once looked at the ball and gone, oh, that was cool. I look at it and I go, for 9 months or 6 months, for example, I grafted every single day. I turned up and as if I was playing, I prepared like I was starting every game. And even though I kept getting no, the team sheet would come over and it still wasn't my turn, I just carried on turning up. So when my opportunity did come, I was ready to take it. So when I look at that ball, I don't look at it as the ball that hit the back of the net. I look at it as the 6 months before that was hard. I was grafted. I didn't get the reward I was looking for, but I kept going. So that's how I look at medals.
Yeah.
I don't see it as, oh, look at me, look what I achieved. It's the everything underneath it that no one else will see.
Yeah.
My wife will see it. My mum and dad will see it. My kids might see a part of it because I try to share it with them. But that's what I see when I kind of see like the ball at home and the medals. That makes sense.
I am obviously I have a vested interest in football myself, and I relate so much in business today, working with businesses, running businesses myself, is dealing with the emotional journey of running a business, the highs and lows. And I look at elite, I always compare it to like, if you're a founder of a business, you look at yourself a bit like an elite athlete, if you get as much so, because you've got things coming at you, highs and lows happening all the time. and I always look at how do players deal with elite athletes deal with adversity, deal with knockbacks, deal with mistakes. You went into that playoff final in the summer. How long was you on the pitch for?
Can I round up?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't a long time.
yeah. But it's probably fair to say you've probably had your fair share along the way of those moments of like, how do I get my head around this? Probably even more recently, the derby. And I'd love to know how do you deal with that? What's your process?
Process is.
Okay, process is.
Yeah, there's multiple processes. And that's the thing where, so I look back at my time here and like, I love the Northeast. Like, it's been one of the best place for me in every department, family, football, and just life in general. But one of the things I look back on is like, take, for example, I always compare, you kind of sometimes got to measure back to build confidence, and sometimes to give you a lift. You can't always measure. So like measuring back is always really, really important. If you look, for example, when I made my debut here, got off to a bad start and I was off at 45 minutes. And then I kind of went, found it really hard for the next 3, 4, 5 months. Had a massive kind of, people call it imposter syndrome, and had a massive kind of a bit of identity crisis and nearly left. Then fast forward 7 years and I make a mistake. It's probably one of the biggest stages ever. Only a few million people watching it. And then I go on to play like the rest of the 80 minutes. And, the rest, for the second half, I only kind of really gave away half a pass. But it's like, I compare the two games and it's like, what's the difference? And the difference in them 7 years is the processes in place, because I never really spent time looking at mindset or studying it or understanding it. And then I started working with a couple of people, one who knows Rob Blackburn.
Yeah.
And it's like I actually started to build processes to deal with these things. And that was the thing that I look back at in that moment. It's like, well, look what 7 years can teach you. And you fall back to, people always say you rise to the occasion, you rise to the occasion. No, you don't. You fall to the level of the processes you have in place. And it's like, well, what processes did I have in place 7 years ago? What processes did I have in place for confidence and dealing with judgment and dealing with adversity and dealing with the unknown and dealing with 35,000 fans? I had no processes. Or I did, but they weren't enough to deal with what I needed to. Fast forward 7 years, what processes I have in place? Multiple. So why did I succeed for them for the rest of the game? It's because for the last 7 years, I've studied, I've learned, I've failed, I've upgraded, and then processes there, 7 years of that, applying them every single game and upgrading them every single time. That's what not just gets you through the game, can, still able to perform to a level that's required in a game that's, you can't afford to then go for the rest of the game. You've got to find a way to reset and go again. So that's the thing. I look back, I will always look back on that game, and for myself and for the people around me there, that's the most thing I'm proud of. That's that journey, because that's hard. It's really hard, because you've got the theory of it, of I know what I need to do, but the practical side of applying it, yeah, that's...
How do you apply that in that situation? What do you go through?
Yeah, so what I always think it's really important to, I like analogies. That's how my brain works. I'm like a pattern imagery kind of guy. And you golfer?
Yep.
Good one?
Average 16 handicap.
It's not a good one.
Yeah, average.
So look at it from like a golf point of view. And it's like you got 15, 16 clubs in the bag.
Yeah.
Is it 15?
15, I think.
You got 15 clubs in a golf bag. But it's like, well, imagine you step onto a golf course with only 4. Your driver, your putter, your pitching wedge, and your 9-iron. And they're your favorite clubs. And you go for a round of golf, and but then you find yourself in the bunker and you're in the sand. You don't have the right club. And it's the same thing of the processes of dealing with confidence and judgment. If you find yourself in that moment and you haven't trained for it and you haven't put the club in the bag, then what do you expect? Like if you're having a tough moment and you can't respond, well, do you expect to respond? You haven't trained to have the club in your bag. So if you've never trained, for example, to put the sand down in your bag, you're going to find yourself in the sand. You're going to be try hacking out of a bunker with a driver. You can't. Well, you might, but it won't be
Yeah.
anywhere more as efficient as having the right club. And guess what? Going to a golf course and standing in the sand and hitting sand line shots, it's not that sexy.
Yeah.
Like, no one goes to the driving range and practices like you don't do that. Everyone practices how far you can hit it. Everyone practices the long putts. But the actual shots, for example, out of the woods, a bad lie, you're in the sand, not just in the sand, you're plugged in the sand with a terrible lie. Like, why not practice them shots? Because if you can deal with them shots, then the rest of your round's going to be fine. But what I did in football, what I see a lot of people do is you practice the sexy shots, you practice the long drive, you practice the long putts. So when you find yourself on the course and you're in the sand, you're in the woods, that's why people struggle. You haven't got the club in the bag. And doing the reps on the hard things isn't fun. Not always fun until you rewrite the narrative. Like, I go home now and I love it. At first, it was really hard. I didn't want to stand there in the bunker and practice sand irons for hours. And that's doing calls with, for example, Rob, sitting there and learning on away trips instead of playing games. I sit there and I study. And it's like, well, I step onto the golf course now, I've got all the clubs in the bag. Doesn't guarantee that you're going to pick you're going to pick the right ones and you're going to play the right shots, but it guarantees that you're going to have the right club in hand. Now it's down to an execution. So it's like, well, how many people are actually training for failure? Because you have to do that. Because you will fail. Like, that's a fact. People try to avoid failure by not doing it at all, but it's like, no, you will fail. You have to. But it's like, then what processes you have in place to deal with it and respond? I had none. But then I expected results, which is insane. But now, for example, I have the processes, and now it's just a matter of building as many as I can, and then it's a choice of, okay, I'm in the fairway now. I can choose from 4 clubs. So imagine me and you are playing the same course. We're in the same hole, but I'm choosing 4 different clubs. You're choosing 1. I've got a better shot selection. I can choose from 4 clubs. You're only 1. So I've got more chance of winning. It doesn't mean I'm going to win, but play the law of averages. I'm going to win more than you because I've got the right skills in place. So that's the thing that I've probably worked on over the last 7 years.
And I look at then high performing teams. So I think, there's no one person that makes a team work. It's the collective, and then culture. And again, part of the conversation with you, and we'll come on to it, is about, the things that you're looking to do outside of the game. But when it comes to culture and creating a high performing team environment, even taking where you are now, and it looks like a shift has happened externally. If you look at the club and how it's run and the environment and some of the people that you've brought in, what's happened from a culture? What do you see as a high performing team and creating a culture? What does it come down to for you?
Oh, I don't think it's just one thing. It's multiple things. So let's look, for example, at last season. I always think the best way to, success leaves clues. So let's look at last season and look at last season's culture. Hopefully that will help me map out what the answer is, because I don't know where I'm going with this. I look at the people. So we had, if you had, when you watch Sky Sports and you watch, like, I know you're an Arsenal fan. Right?
Yeah.
So when you watch Arsenal play, you'll see all the Sky Sports stats come up of expected goals and crosses and all these stats that come up. We made up a stat last year called XV, and it was called expected vibes in the changing rooms. And we always said last season we were top of the league because the group from every single man was, if I come across that level again, I'll be amazed. From every single person, the energy, the conversations, it was high level. We'd turn up at we'd turn up at an away game. It'd be a Friday before the game. There'd be 8 lads sitting there talking mindset for an hour and a half, 2 hours of like this stuff.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, lads going deep into things that they struggled with. And then, young lads, but I'm struggling with that right now. We'll sit there and we'll talk about it for hours. You'd get, next away trip, there'll be 15 of us all playing like a board game, sitting around playing board games because you just enjoyed each other's company, and this is nothing to do with football. You just had good human beings that had good conversations, but then you stepped across that line and that still continued. It's like them conversations, the relationships were built very, very early. And then you knew the relationship was there to then demand, connect, and play that season. And yeah, I don't know if I've answered the question, but it's good people.
Where do you think that comes from? Like bringing that group together. What is the magic dust? Is it the ability to select those types of characteristics and people beforehand, or is it, is there some special strategy out there that you see that recruits players in based on personality type, not just technical type? I don't know. I'm just interested to know, like, how does that get created? Because I see it in clients I work with. Ross's business is a good example of that. It just works, and I think when you've got an alignment, probably of values, and a connection of values, that's when like underlying belief systems tend to connect. But you can't write it on a piece of paper.
You can and you can't. I've seen so many different ways to do it. So talking about you can't write it on paper, I've seen, for example, where players come up with a strategy of what they want the season to look like, but the players build it. So
Right.
we want to be punctual, we want to be on time, we want to respect each other, whatever the team wants to do. And at the end of it, everyone signs it. You whack it up on the wall. So that's important, because it's like if someone else puts that onto you, then you got to do it. But if the players come up for it, then it's like in season, say for example, it's respecting each other. Then you see someone crossing the line of respect, so, you put it in the middle of the changing rooms. It's like, no, they're the rules we've set. Like at the minute, for example, I even have that at home with my kids. I get my kids to kind of write the rules of when we go out in the garden, because they're mini 09, so they cheat, they're competitive, they're scrapping. So I'm like, okay, what's the rules you guys want to set? Because I can't have you guys going in every single day crying that my little man's done that to my little girl. It's like, no, well, if you guys bump and bruise, we'll have a cuddle, but I need you straight back up. Is that fair? Or if we go in, so I get them to write the rules of the garden, because if I start coming up with the rules, it's not fair, because it's coming from my eyes. So it's like, what do they want to set? So I think when you give ownership to the people to set them T's and C's of the season, it gives everyone buy-in, it gives everyone accountability, and then it gives the changing rooms then have to lead that. So you can do it that way. And then, part of it is recruitment of good people. You gotta, when I was at Wickham, we had a player came on trial from a Premier League club, and I was like, this guy's good. He was in my position. I was like, he's better than me. And I thought, we got to sign him. And I spoke to the manager and I was like, are we going to sign him? He's unbelievable. He went, yeah, but I've just got to do a couple more character checks. We phoned a few more people. Didn't see him next week. So I went up to the gaffer and I was like, well, where is he? And he went, one person said he's not the right character. And he said, I couldn't risk ruining the group that I've built over the last 3, 4, 5 years for a good player, because he put good people first. And then after that, it was like, good people, oh, your ability as well. And I love that. I think that's for me. If I went into management, that's the way I would build it.
Yeah.
Good people first, and then ability as well. If you got ability but you're a bad person, it's hard.
It's the same in business.
Yeah,
You can have great technical, like having one bad person in a business is like toxic and create a virus.
yeah. Like listen, I came up with a really good analogy the other day, and I'm going to claim this as myself. But imagine you've got like a glass of water, and then you've got the squash Ribena bottle. You add a tiny bit in, still water. You add just a little bit more, the whole water is going to start to change color. And it's the same with having bad people in bad groups, business, football, whatever. You add a little bit, you can deal with it. But you add just a little bit too much, the whole water is going to change color. Everything's infected. And it's like, you have to protect that first and foremost. We had that nailed to the T last season, and we've got it very close to that this season. Like last season, I love to try and top it. That's my goal. Build something that's that. And the last season was on another level.
Yeah.
And this season we're very close, and that's why I'm very proud of that. But it's like now it took a number of years to get there. But now we've got to protect that, and not just protect it, we've got to build on that. So when someone else comes, it's like we might not read in the T's and C's, but first and foremost, they see it. They see it in the group. They see the way we train. They see the way we conduct ourselves. They see on and off the pitch. whether that's litter in the changing rooms, whether that's talking to the fans, whatever it is, we have a standard.
Mm.
And how well is that standard in the group? Well, if someone joins, they should see it. Because if they don't see it, then maybe we're not doing it well enough.
Mm.
And then if they're not doing it, are you then brave enough to go, hey, come on, man, that's not the way. This is the way, and you know that.
Mm.
Then it comes down to the way you want to talk to people, because that's a whole new department as well.
Yeah. And you've got some new people, you know, in the change room, some new leadership in your leadership group, I imagine. Who stands out to you in your career as like, you've got great managers and then you've got great leaders and great coaches. Who are the people that have had that impact, and kind of why? And even up until maybe the people that you've got this year in the dressing room. I'm keen to understand like the different leaders that you've come across and how they've impacted you.
Yeah. So there's multiple. And I think that's how you kind of start to build your own, is you start to model what other people do. So Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe was the first one for me, and he was just a mix of everything, just high level, high performance. He set the example every single day. Then you come to Sunderland, and I had Bailey Wright, and he's like, his presence. You walk into the room and he lifts anyone with a conversation, with his energy, and I was like, I just loved him. And then you start to see like a shift, and then you get your leaders who don't even wear the armbands. So last season, I've said it multiple times, Simon Moore was the most important person in our promotion last season. He played 4 games. He was a second choice goalkeeper, but his ability to connect people was something I've never seen before.
Wow.
And he does it this season. And he's like my ultimate leader now for me, because really your life only starts when things aren't really going for you. How do you then interact? And like, he wasn't playing, and he was just a first class human being, and that's not easy when you're not playing. So like, he is my mentor and role model for this season. And then you get someone like Granit Xhaka, for example, whose football IQ is the highest I've ever seen.
Wow.
Like, his way to teach me about the game. I can, in training, I'll be like, why'd you do that? And he's like, this, and this. I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And then his football IQ is the highest, but then he can just teach it like I can't wait for him to be a coach one day. I can't wait to see it, because we were on a train journey from coming back from a game, and we sat there on the train, and we had an LNER mat in front of us, and we just drew tactics of why he moves there, why he does that. And, I used to grow up, and naively I used to say, and I don't think I'd be the only one saying this, but I used to say when I was a young kid, I could play Premier League. Look how much time they have on the ball. Have you said that watching the telly before?
100%.
100%. There we are.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's a few more people on enough to. I get a few giggles down the corner around there. I think. So it's like, okay, well, I used to say that growing up. Look how much time he's got on the ball. And as I've spent more time in football, what I've realised is that is the gift, and that's the gift of years and years of practice and understanding the game. Because I then go play in the Premier League. I don't have that time on the ball. Someone like Granit Xhaka does. And that's the gift that no one else sees, is because his game understanding, his football IQ to move into the right positions, and just everything in football is information. Like, if I'm boxing right now and I'm going like this, you're seeing that I'm about to load up and hit you. That's information. In the same way, someone's cocking their leg back to play a long pass, that's information. His ability to decode all the information in front of him and react and make decisions, the highest level. And, and that's, you can hear myself like,
Yeah.
I'm creating a circle of mentors and ultimate leadership. And then you got someone like Ronaldo, left back for us, who's at Atletico Madrid. Everyone's in international duty. Last week we had 3 players. So we had all the young players train. And there's a clip of him for Atletico Madrid, I don't know if you've seen it, of him running back. So there's a 1v1 with the goalie, and he's sprinted back 50 yards, full speed, and he slide tackles and nearly stops the guy. I'll show you the clip after. It's phenomenal. And I saw him doing that in training. There's no game for 2 weeks. All the 21s are training, everyone else in international duty, and it's a 4v4. He gives the ball away, and I see him. He's in his 30s. He doesn't need to do it, but he sprints all the way back and makes a slide tackle on one of the young lads and wins a goal kick. Most people wouldn't even clock that. But all I see is a man that's done it every single where he's gone. He doesn't need to do that. But every single day he hits this intensity and he hits these markers. And I'm like, there's another model that I need to see. Every single day, every single run, 100% intensity. So when he steps out onto the pitch at Stamford Bridge and he's got Pedro Neto running at him, he was one of the best players on the pitch that day. I'm like, well, of course he is. Look at him every single day in training. International duty, no one, I've got the clip on my phone. I saw it. No one else would have clocked it. And I was like, another excellent form of leadership. So as you can see, like a kind of plot in a circle of everyone's doing different parts. And that's why there is no one size fits all for a high performing group. It's he's first class in that. He's first class in that. He's first class in that. We've also got we've had some incredible psychologists at the club. She was first class at that. So it's like you form a circle and there's just many entry points for high performance. And you surround everyone with that. You get the right people that are willing to learn. You just bring people with you.
One of the things I've noticed when we've spoken is your deep level of like humility and willingness to learn. Like, I always like the phrase white belt mentality, right? You could be, a black belt in one thing, but you can be a white belt in another thing. And I think that's a sort of testament to you as a character trait is your deep humility. Do you think that that's also something that when you look around those people, and also your ability to surround yourself with people that you can learn from, is that something you would say, if you looked at those other people, are they doing those same things? Do they have that deep level of sort of humbleness and humility as well?
Yeah, so I've met many humble people in football. Yeah, and I think, listen, first and foremost, just be a good human. That's my motto.
Yeah.
Like, I think I saw a nice image the other day of like, there's 11 people on the pitch and you put a quotation bubble above someone else's head, everyone's head. This person's just had a newborn baby, he's had 1 hour sleep. This person's got no confidence. This person's, I've played with people that have lost family members and they're still going out to play. This person's having a tough time. This person's out of contract. You look at a pitch and any one of 11 people, 22 on the other team plus subs, you just never know what anyone's going through.
Yeah.
So fans that are standing there and it's like, you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah.
So just be a good human, give good energy, and, it's what a good place to be.
Yeah.
Same thing I do with my kids. It's like, well, guys, you be a good human, you give good energy to people. I always say to my little girl, just be the lighthouse, be the light of the room, because there's something that's in your control.
Yeah.
My dad always raised me. He said, Luke, I'd rather you never play Premier League and be a good human. His words were, I'd rather, you might have to crop this one out. I'd rather you never make it to the Premier League than make it to the Premier League and become a dickhead.
Right.
That was his words always growing up to me. And I'll never forget it. And it makes me smile. And he's like, don't get to Premier League and be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Because he said, I'd rather you just stay in the lower leagues. He said, don't lose that fight. Don't use that kid version that I've always seen you. He said, don't lose that. But then to this day, if I go home, for example, and my brother comes home and we're all having a family dinner, they will tell me if I'm acting in a way that's not our O'Nien, moral or code, whatever it is. If I go home, for example, and I think naturally if you're in the football environment, you tend to use explicit words more than you should, which I'm conscious of. If I bring that home because I used and I hear it all the time, if I go home and I go to my dad's house and I'm using a few of them words, my brother will turn around and go, oh, well, you're not in the football environment anymore. You're back at home. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's like, even to this day, they will demand a certain standard and a level of respect. To this day, even though I'm a 31-year-old man, it's like, no, guys, this is the level. This is what we do. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So it doesn't stop.
No. And what about, I guess, Luke, the dad, the husband, and how you manage to be that person? We all have outside of our jobs responsibilities, and sometimes the identity of who you are, your success in life and in everything is geared to the identity of what you achieve in business or football. How do you manage that? being Luke the dad, the husband, versus Luke the Premier League footballer?
And you screw it up.
Yeah.
And then you go, why did I screw that up? And then you
Yeah.
go and fix it along the way. And then
Yeah.
you fix things. And that's what it is like. You you got to get it wrong.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I got that wrong because of that. And you learn as you go.
Yeah.
Like I've told a lot of people I've done therapy and I do it all the time. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
I tell my kids to do it one day.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone should.
I agree.
But I do it because like I wasn't the best dad when I started, when my little girl was born. I don't think anyone is. Like you're new to it. But it's like, okay, well, why am I not? Okay, I did that wrong. Okay, well, go do that better next time. And it's the same thing, like trying to be a dad and be a good husband and be a good teammate, try to be a good player, trying to coach.
Yeah.
You can't do it all. No one starts off doing anything great. And it's just having that circle where my wife's very good and she'll tell me, okay, well, we'll talk all the time. How can I get better at this? How can I be better for you? How can I be better for the kids? How do you see my energy today? And it's go bring your version of today. If it's great, brilliant, carry on. If it's not, have that ability to reflect and go, okay, what does the new model look like? How do I want it to look? And if you can't get there by yourself, go to therapy. They help you get there. Talk to a friend. I've got a mate who's an unbelievable dad. Look how he does it. In the same way we talked about leadership a second ago, and it's like, well, he was unbelievable at that. He was unbelievable at that. It's like just a series of just model what the way you that aligns with you. Yeah. Don't completely change you, which I've done before. That was wrong. But like model behaviors that best suit you, because everything in life's borrowed. Yeah. So just okay, try it on, see how it works. Does it work? No. Okay, go again. Did that work? Yeah, do that again. That's all we are as human beings. It's just a series of screw ups. Yeah. Then fix it, make it better, upgrade, go again. Yeah. Show up. How's that new version? That's good. Okay, let's go with that for now. Yeah. And then and that's how you do that enough, then you're going to be in the right way. Yeah. That's what I've done with like being a dad in football. It's just, I'm a big word on the word systems. Keep upgrading your systems. And if you don't know where to upgrade, that's where you do podcasts. That's where I'm looking to doing business with you. Yeah. You've got a level of knowledge that I am nowhere near. So it's like, okay, well, I can be silly and just carry on trying to do it myself. Yep. Well, am I going to get there? Maybe it might take me 25 years, but it's like upgrade your circle, upgrade your knowledge, get better, go again. Yeah. And that's kind of my backwards model, I think.
No, it makes sense. So you've got therapists, coaches, mentors, and I think, I've followed your journey as well as, Rob, your business partner in the Inner Game Academy. And I think it's an unbelievable mission and purpose. And I think it needs to be heard more because of, I guess, my personal experience going back in the game of football as well and coming out of football. I'd love for you to share kind of about the Inner Game Academy and like, what is that and what does it mean to you and like why you're so passionate about it?
I love it. I think I'm loving it because I'm trying to create something in football that wasn't really there when I was growing up. Right. And I was talking to my mum and dad this morning, so I'm trying to make a journal for kids at the minute. And what I realize is my mum and dad are called Tell and Monica. So I'm trying to build a mini Tell and a mini Monica, right, where it's like, I was so lucky that they were giving me the right information at the right time or the right support. And not everyone can get that. And sometimes my mum and dad got it wrong as well. And you sometimes have to tap into other mentors, which my kids will do one day. But it's like having a place where if you haven't got access to that, then can I provide that support, what we talked about, them systems for the next generation of kids coming through? Because like, I look at it as I nearly joined Sunderland. I nearly left after 3 months. But they had my exit route planned. Like I had a team ready to go and I was like, nah, like screw that. I'm making it work here. I'm just not going to quit. I'll just keep showing up every day till they pick me. But I kind of, my agency kind of had a team that was already interested to line up. But it's like, I nearly left and didn't have this life just through a lack of understandings, knowledge and systems. It's as simple as that.
Mm.
How sad that would be. I wouldn't have got married up here, wouldn't have had the career I've had, wouldn't have met the people, wouldn't have had this journey, wouldn't have had Ballard's goal.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's just through a lack of knowledge, a support base, and this, which I thought I'm going to try and create for people. And I see it as like, when you go on a journey, if you want to come to my house, you don't know where I live.
Mm.
So I have to give you the postcode. Then you put it in your GPS, and then you follow the way there. And guess what? They close the motorway. So what does it do? It reroutes.
Yeah.
And it closes again, so it reroutes, and it keeps rerouting until you head in the right direction. If I don't give you the postcode, you're just going to keep driving. And there's a small chance you might arrive at the destination, but my money's on you not. And that's what a lot of us are doing. It's like we're trying to get somewhere without anyone giving us the postcode.
Mm.
So what is the postcode? The postcode for me, for example, growing up, is connecting to mentors. I connected to Rob. I hit a roadblock of a lack of confidence, couldn't deal with judgment, couldn't deal with all the expectation. So I hit a roadblock, but I wasn't rerouting. I was just keep hitting this roadblock and kept hitting this speed bump, and I was getting worn out. So then, okay, what does the sat nav look like? It was Rob. Rob helps me reroute, so I go in that direction again. Then I hit another roadblock. So I might start therapy, might talk to my mum and dad, talk to my brother, talk to all their mentors and that leadership circle I talked about. And all them people it's rerouting to get to that end destination. And it's like, that's what I'm trying to do with the Inner Game Academy, is provide a whole support system where it's like, okay, I don't know the answers for this person that's coming to me for a question. So let's get a guest on. So for example, we had a guest on, we had a really good goalie on yesterday. So all the goalies were like trying to connect to him. Okay, what are you struggling with? I'm struggling with this. Oh yeah, I'm quite good at this department. Here's an example. Okay, and it's connecting people to people, providing strategies. And all it is helping people map out the route, build a blueprint that's forever changing and flexible, that's going to help them on their journey to where they want to get to.
And specifically for who is the, I guess let's say the ideal customer, but who's it for, the Inner Game Academy, so people understand? Is it for a certain age range, or is it for any age range up to 16 or 18?
Yeah, so we said the age range brackets from 10 to 10 plus.
Right.
And there's an upgraded, like we have a pros group with Rob, so we work with loads of pros as well, but we have like 10 to 21 is the rage bracket, but we have people that are older. I'm in there every week. I know I'm leading it, but I'm learning every single week. And I go and apply everything we teach. I had to go apply it at St. James's. So like, it's kind of 10 to 21, have a few people younger. And then we have a parents course as well. So you have loads of parents that are coming on, because we put on masterclasses and building courses for them, because the journey for a parent is very, very hard. And I said it all the time, the greatest coach a kid will ever have is their mum and dad. That's a fact. Or better saying that, they have the opportunity to be the greatest coach. So then you look at the other side, they also have the power to be the worst coach they've ever had.
Yeah, don't look at my son as we're having this conversation.
What was it? Thumbs up, thumbs down, you can't see. But it's like, okay, well, and if anyone's listening to this, even if at the minute you're going, I'm the worst coach ever, well, fair play to you to even admit that. Because guess what? I wouldn't have been the best dad at one point, but that's fuel to change and go, okay, I want to get better. Well, how? Well, I'm not going to get better by, people think they change by doing it themselves. But if you don't change what you think, you're not going to change how you feel. You're not going to change how you act. But if you start changing your thought process, you're going to change with them how you act, and you're going to change how you feel. But it always goes back to changing your level of knowledge. Yeah. Because if you don't change your level of knowledge, you're the same person. You're going to get the same outcomes, and your life's going to pattern. And that's what we can't afford, especially in football, is if you keep patterning the behavior at the minute. And I know when I get kids come onto the Inner Game Academy, it hits a string in my heart where they're like, I've got zero confidence. Yeah, like I'm getting the ball and all I'm thinking about is I don't want it. I'm going to lose it and I'm going to pass it to them. And I just really fearful inside. I want to hide. Then I look to the side and my mum and dad are screaming at me and I'm getting confused. This is boys and girls. And I'm like, feels like exactly how I was. And it's a real pain for me because it's like, these are such young kids and they are so far away from the kid that started the game that just loved it and wanted to be out there, wanted to play, wanted to kick a ball. And I'm like, how sad's that the game they once loved, they're now fearing it. They don't want the ball. They're scared. And I had this in the pro game myself. And that's where the journey comes from, is I've managed to completely change the narrative for myself. And I've seen how, and I'm trying to create that for other people so they can turn around to me one day and went, you helped me not just fall in love with the game again, but just maximize myself for life, not just football, but for, just being a good human. But you also just released that freedom again inside me. You gave me that spark of love back to the game, as well as a great understanding on the tactical side, the technical side, the physical side.
Yeah.
Mindset's great, but it's all aspects. It's like we had England striker coach come on. What the best mentor to learn? He trained Harry Kane. It's like, guys, you're not going to get a better person than this. And it's getting the people to like hit every aspect of the game. And it's building just a shop that controls. That's fun. So he sabotaged me podcast now. I've seen that. He said that was a sabotage.
Yeah.
So it's just building a hub where it covers everything.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to, I'm a massive advocate for it. I speak to you, I speak to Rob about what you're trying to achieve, and I think can have so much impact. How do people access it now? Is there a way that they can access it? Is it online, or is it a certain method?
Yeah, so we've got an Instagram page which we try to release a lot of the free content, because I appreciate people aren't always going to be ready to do these things.
Yeah,
I wasn't, so I get it, and it's like, okay, well, you don't have to if you're not ready for it, but if you're interested, go on the Instagram page. If you like some of the content, if you like some of the tactical videos or the technical breakdowns, or the way I go through my games and my clips, just have a little look, get some free access, hopefully learn a few things. If you want to do a little bit more, we have a free call every single month if you want to ask some questions. And then later down the line, if you feel like I need a bit more help, then you can join on to the mentorship. And we have weekly calls, we get guests on, we have an app where we have all this on. You can go to www.innergameacademy.com and it will all kind of be on there. So we're trying to offer value for everybody.
Yeah.
And then if people want to go further and come on the journey, then they can join us on a call weekly.
Brilliant. And being a footballer, being a founder of a business, what's it like trying to, or becoming a business owner or founder, that journey of newness around it for you?
Yeah, I suck at the minute. But the way my brain works is, give us time and I'm going to find a way to master it. And I don't know. And that's just that delusion that I always have, is like, give me a new racket sport and I will find a way to. I'm at the start of the journey. Yeah. In the same way I started the journey of being a dad 5 years ago, and I'm trying to get better at that. Yeah. My football, I'm trying to upgrade the systems, and the business funds, it's been a fun one. I went through the old delusional phase of, I know the answer, I know what to do, in the same way I did it for football. I don't need any help. I can do this myself. I'm going to build it and I'm just going to do it. Then I kind of woke up and kept getting no results and realizing, okay, I keep carrying on with the same knowledge. I'm going to keep getting the same actions, and it's going to pattern. Yeah. So now I'm doing what I always do for football and everything. It's like, connect with people, connect with mentors, improve your knowledge, go again. Is it working? No. Go get more knowledge. Yeah. Connect with mentors, upgrade your systems, go again. Yeah. And then when you find that winning formula, and how do you know what winning formula is? You feel it. Yeah. You know what it feels like. It feels good. You can pattern it. You can reproduce it. It's successful. Once you get that, okay, well, let's stay around there, because that's clues that it's working. And that's what I'm trying to do at business at the minute. It's
what surprised you most about this journey of like Inner Game Academy and being a founder of it? What surprised you most?
It's the same mindset that I've given to football. It's the same model I need to apply to business. There isn't a shortcut. People, I maybe thought that you might get there. I thought there'd be ways to fast track it. I thought there'd be ways to fast track it, and there'd be a few business people laughing, and hopefully they would have gone, I was there one day. And I think as soon as you realize you can't fast track yourself to success, there is no fast track. There's an analogy. If you've got a circle and you put a line straight through it to try and cut the corner, you end up putting 2 more corners in.
Yeah.
And it's the same with like business. You know, I think you try to fast track it by thinking you know it all and you can do it yourself. I did the same thing as football. I stopped connecting to people. I thought it was how cool if I do it by myself. But it's like you realize you do that for a couple of years, you stay the exact same person, exact same player. But that's also 2 years wasted.
Yeah.
So it's not wasted if you then realize that and change. That's 2 years of learning that wasn't working, and you're closer to finding it. But if you carry on that way, which I see so many people do in football,
Yeah.
hence why they don't progress. I'm guessing you've seen it a lot in business.
Yeah. The football and business for me, I don't look at them as any difference in terms of the process, the way you build something. You have to do the work behind the scenes to achieve the work on the results on the pitch.
Yeah.
I've had exactly the same conversation with Ross before. Now it's all of the stuff that happens behind the scenes. It's the mindset to be open-minded, to be self-aware, to be humble, to have humility, to surround yourself. It's very similar.
Yeah.
And I love it because I just draw parallels constantly between football and business. But it feels to me that your journey in business, as much as it's earlier on in than you are in your football career, like you're surrounding yourself with good people, good support, and I have full faith the fact that the in-game academy, because I know that it's the delayed gratification process with anything like this.
Yeah, that's a nice way to put that. Yeah, that's the same for football. You don't always get the delayed gratifications are a really nice way to put it.
Yeah, it is always, you've got to delay the gratification, you've got to do the work now. I always ask everyone a question at the end of my podcast about, like, what would you describe to be the ultimate founder? And I kind of going to put that question to you as well, with where you are in business, because I'd like to hear from you. What, as a founder of a business, what is the ultimate founder to you as a person?
The ultimate founder.
For me, to give you context, the ultimate founder for me is someone that it's like a version of you that doesn't quite exist yet, but you are in line with your values, you're authentic as you are as a human being. You show up, you have standards, all of the things we talk about. I don't want to get to go answer away, right? So for me, it's like that's my version, but everyone has a different version.
Kind of say same. So my answer, yeah, it's easier when you say, because I'm still new to the business. The founder word's a bit of a, when you turn it to leader, it works. That's how my brain ticks. So I'm asking myself the question: what makes a great leader? And I don't know, would that answer the question? What makes a good founder? So for me, you've got to go through the process that everyone goes through. And I think as we get older, we forget, like when kids learn to walk, they can't. And they get up, they fall, they go again. They get up, they fall, they go again. That's the process that we learn every skill through. So it's like stage one, go back to being a beginner. You're going to have to go back to being a beginner, of which you have to fall, get up, go again, fall, go up, go again, until you perfect the art. But what makes a good leader for me is knowing the direction you're going in. So for example, I really screwed up my leadership once, where I got made captain because our captain was out injured for a year. So I got given the armband. So I stepped into a place of leadership, and I was like, okay, I'm now a leader. So we finished the game, and the manager looked at me to talk. He went, "Do you want to talk?" And I thought, I have to talk because I'm a leader. And I was really, really angry. I saw a few things that I should have said throughout the week, training intensities, it was just off. So I then talked after the game, after we lost, and just spoke. And I came home that evening, and my wife went, "You okay?" And I went, "No." I said something after the game, and it really didn't sit well with me. And she went, "Why?" And I went, "I just spoke emotionally. I didn't really know where I was going with it. And I just offloaded emotion without any understanding of the outcome." And she went, "Okay." And she went, "Well, where do you want to go with this?" And I said, "I need to find like a model that I always want to attach to." And it's like the big thing for me is I didn't know where I was going. So I couldn't then know if I was successful or not, because it's like, well, where's my measure of success if I don't know where the end desired outcome is? So I built a leadership model right there and right then with my wife. It's when I lead, the two things I want to do is when I have a conversation, whether that's a team, whether that's an individual, whether it's with my kids, I want to give energy and I want to empower. They're the two non-negotiables, because the opposite is I take energy and I disempower, make someone feel worse. And I'm massive on energy. It's like my biggest drive, whatever I do. So whenever I have a conversation, it's like give energy, empower, make someone feel good. They are my two non-negotiables. And you can still demand from someone. You can still give someone a kick up the backside if they need it, but you're always making sure you're aligned with that focal point.
Yeah.
So I think for me, for leadership, to then connect back to founder, it's having a focal point. Yes, it can change, but at the minute, as you're delivering what you want to deliver, it's have that focal point, which ties back in nicely. Did you always want to play Premier League? Yes.
Yeah.
Everything I did connected to the Premier League. So it's like having that focal point. So I have a focal point for leadership. I have a focal point of wanting to play in the Premier League, because in everything you do, you're funneling in that direction. So you can always review against the end outcome. If you have no end outcome, how do you know if you're heading in the wrong or right direction? So for me, it's probably having a focal point, which can move and can readjust, but try to keep it, it can be flexible, but most of the time keep it kind of pretty fixed as well.
I think we're there on time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for the last minute. And like some of the stuff you shared from a sports standpoint and from a business standpoint, I wish you, Rob, all the success with In the Game Academy. I'm a champion of the cause and will always be there to support. So thank you, mate.
No, thanks. I loved it.
Cheers. Thank you. Good man.